Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswati Ji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. The taking of sannyas, the taking of a path of renunciation. Well, we can certainly talk after this Alexei about your particular situation, of course. But he asked, is it irresponsible to take vows of renunciation? Is it irresponsible to wear the saffron robes and not be in the world? Well, here's what's interesting. From what I've seen, and I've been in India now 27 years and a sannyasi for 23 of them, and surrounded by God's grace with so many sannyasis, and had the great blessing to actually be in the presence of many enlightened masters who are sannyasis as well. There are times when it's incredibly irresponsible and when no real guru would let you do it. And then there are times when it's absolutely beautiful and perfect. And it's individual. One thing, the most important aspect is sannyas is something we move toward, not something we find ourselves in because we are pushing away the world. So there's two ways to get somewhere. One way is you walk toward it. Another way is you push away from where you are and you just end up over here. There's a lot of people who come or who write in who want to take sannyas. And of course, sannyas is it's the monastic vows of renunciation. So it's becoming a monk or becoming a nun. And there's a lot of people who want to, because they are, quote unquote, fed up with their family, their job, society, whatever it may be. Sannyas is not the answer to what to do when you're fed up with your life or your wife. We get both. I'm fed up with life, fed up with the wife, fed up with... It's not the answer to that. It's not that which removes your responsibilities in the world. Because a lot of people think it's that. Today I've got all these responsibilities and I'll just leave it all and I'll become a monk and then I won't have any responsibilities. It's not that. If you are struggling in your life, a spiritual path, meditation, yoga, seva, scriptural reading, diving deep, this is what's going to pull you out of that trouble. But not by renouncing the relationship or renouncing the work or renouncing that. The path of sannyas is something that you are pulled toward because there is a yearning to go deeper. A yearning for a life that allows you to be able to focus on your spiritual path single-pointedly. But that spiritual path has a lot of responsibilities. It's not just, I meditate and my peace. And when I open my eyes, my food will be there. Somebody will bring me food. Somebody will bring me water. Somebody will sweep my cave. And I will just meditate. The spiritual path, especially here specifically at Parmarth Niketan, it's all about the clearing of the drama of the self, the clearing of the illusion, the false identity, the stuckness, the desires, the fears, the stories we tell ourselves, all of that, so that it's not my peace and then I'm done. It's my peace so that I can be a clear vessel, a clear channel for the divine will to flow, and I can serve. So it's something we walk toward because we want to give of ourselves in a way that is on a larger scale than most of the time when we are confined to a specific family that demands and is entitled to the majority of our time and attention. So it's a calling toward service of, embrace of a much larger family, a universal family. But it's not an abdication of duties or responsibilities. It's just a shift from, instead of one husband, one wife, some children, some in-laws, to Mother Earth. And it's a commitment to walking and living a spiritual path. To work and walk to overcome the games of the ego, to overcome the games of the mind, to free ourselves. So that's the most important piece. And then, of course, if you have people who are dependent, not just emotionally dependent, because we all have those. There's always people who say, oh, don't do this, you can't do this, that's not fair, don't. But people who really are dependent, young children, elderly, at life's end, needy parents and no siblings to help take care of them. In situations like that, there's no guru who's going to say, oh yeah, abandon your young kids. Abandon your housebound, wheelchair-bound parent who needs you to feed them and come and live in an ashram. But if you don't have such encumbrances like that, and all you've got is the sort of general run-of-the-mill people who would like you to keep supporting them and providing for them emotionally, perhaps financially, the way that you always have, but don't actually need it, aren't actually your dharmic responsibility, then absolutely. It's a very sacred choice. It's a very blessed choice. It's a choice that I feel very blessed to have been able to make. But let's talk afterwards specifically about your particular circumstances.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind,
walk a mile in my shoes.
walk a mile in my shoes.
walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me. Having an urge to hurt someone out of anger, out of hatred, out of fear, it doesn't mean that you're not a good person. What it means is that you are living in an illusion about who you are. And chances are it means that you've been hurt so much that the self-survival instinct is to hurt back. But you've got to recognize that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Even if the mind was intentional, the mind plotted and planned, okay, I'm gonna, hurt this person. Well, where does that come from? It means you're hurting on the inside. You're only going to hurt someone else if you're hurting on the inside. And that internal hurt that you identified with, that you got stuck with, that you got wrapped up with, that you thought was you, is what led you to act in that way. And this is where you ask yourself, why do I think I am that person? I can tell from looking at your face that you're a beautiful person. A beautiful person. And just because you have thoughts that lead to actions of anger or hatred or jealousy or whatever it may be that leads you to do something, even intentionally, that hurts another, what it just means is that there's ignorance and there's pain and there's hurt and there's false identification. And what you need to do is meditate on that within you which is not those thoughts. Because what you're going to find is a pure, beautiful, holy, divine being who has been hurt. And who in her hurt, it's what she knows. I always say, the air conditioner can only give us cold air. It's not its fault, it's all it has. And if all we've got is hurt and fear and anger from what's happened to us, then that's all we can give to the world. But that isn't you. It's just that's what's been fed into you. It's like if you ate something bad, right? And you end up vomiting all night long. Well, it's not that you're a bad person. It's that something has gone inside that is toxic. And therefore, it's coming out every orifice. But it's not that who you are as a being is toxic and wrong and bad. It's that something has gone in that's hurt. And that's therefore what you are sharing with the world. And what that means is that you need to really, really meditate on who you are, which is pure and divine and beautiful. Should be theoretically the easiest thing for us. As babies, we have no problem doing it. Right? We don't get what we want. What do? We scream. There's no baby who's like, yeah, well, I mean, if you feel like feeding me, that would be great if you've got some time. It's, ah! We're great at asking what we need. And we're great at demanding it. I mean, not only do we ask, but there's absolutely a sense of, I am entitled. Feed me. Change my diaper. Put me to bed. Make me warm. And even more than that, hold me and love me. Right? That's the, Kid is fed. Diapers are dry. But what do they want? Pick me up. Hold me and love me. So we're even able to demand being loved. It's beautiful. That is the state that we need to actually remember. We deserve, that is our birthright, to be loved, to be cared for, to be nourished, to be nurtured. We don't ask for two main reasons. Number one, we're afraid they will say no. It's a lot easier not to ask than to ask and risk that someone will say no. And the solution to that, or the way around that, or through that, is to realize that someone else saying no does not change how much you deserve it. A parent who neglects their child does not mean that the child is any less worthy. If a child screams to be fed and the parent ignores them, that's what we call child abuse. It's not that the child is less deserving than a child whose mother feeds her. It's that the mother in the first case is damaged in some way, either mentally, emotionally, psychologically, lifestyle-wise, maybe literally she has nothing there on the streets. She wants to feed the kid, she can't. But the point is, it is a problem of the mother, not a problem of the child. It is a fault of the mother, not a fault of the child. And so we overcome that fear of asking because we realize even if they say no, that doesn't mean that I deserve it less. It just means there is a problem with that person. Again, either emotionally, mentally, psychologically, or just that they are unable to give what I want, what I need. The other reason we don't ask is because on some deep level we don't feel like we deserve. That somehow we are less deserving of the bounty of the universe. And it's a really fine line because on a material level, we all come into this world with different karmic packages, different opportunities, different abilities, different situations, different circumstances. On a theoretical level and a theological level, Everyone is equally deserving, of course. And yet, due to karmic circumstance, due to situation, some of which is due to our own karma, some of which is just due to the criminal ways that so many paths of distribution of food, of resources happen in our world, we end up not all having. But that doesn't mean that we don't all deserve. And it's really important to work with an energy in you if you feel like you don't deserve. Because you deserve everything. On a deep level. Doesn't mean you deserve someone else's house or their car and that, you demand it till they give it to you. But it means that you deserve all of that which is beautiful in the world. You deserve the opportunity, the spaciousness, to blossom, to flower, to experience the divine in you, to get closer and closer to God. You deserve love. You deserve acceptance. You deserve your own individual ability to accept this incredible invitation that the universe has given all of us. And so ask. And if there's a part of you that feels like you don't deserve, work with that part. Why don't I feel like I deserve? Who did I hear it from? When did I hear it? How did that get inside me? And then, of course, you realize, oh, I heard it from someone who was troubled. Might have been a parent, might have been a teacher, might have been a sibling, might have been someone who themselves was troubled and took it out on me. But that doesn't make it truth. And that's really important to realize because we all move through the world with false beliefs about ourselves and about our worthiness based on things that we were told or experienced mostly when we were young, mostly by family of origin or teachers or something in those early years that makes us feel somehow less than. And it's so important to be able to look back and to say, oh yeah, here's what was going on for my mom at that time, for my dad at that time, for my teacher, for my whatever it was. Here's why they were not able to give me the messages that really were right, that I really needed to hear. And then you forgive them. But you don't continue to live according to what they told you. If you're my kid and I'm stressed and miserable and drunk and furious at something and I say to you, you are a worthless piece of junk. Well, that doesn't mean you are. That means I get an F in parenting. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean anything about you. Tragically, you are probably going to take that inside as a child. But then when you age and you grow and you mature, you're able to look back and say, oh yeah, my God, my mother was drunk and angry and really struggling at that time. I know she didn't really mean it. It just came out. She didn't mean it. And it's really not true. And that's when we start to heal and to move on. And so practicing asking is a beautiful practice. And yeah, you might get hurt sometimes. But it's a beautiful practice. Because all of those metaphoric bruises that we get in the vulnerability practice end up actually building muscle within us of self-worth, of self-awareness, of self-acceptance, of self-expansion and expression and realization. And ultimately, that's what it's all about.
The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for
summer break because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time landing
a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. Trauma actually is something that impacts and affects the very fabric of who we are, the very nature of who we are. And it ripples through who we are, changing it. When something happens that's momentarily happy or momentarily sad or even momentarily scary, it may have a huge impact on us in the moment, but then it dissipates. We come back to equilibrium. But when trauma happens, whether it's a one-time thing or whether it's a many-time thing, when trauma happens, it actually changes who we are. So we don't overcome trauma in a way where somehow it was a thing and we have removed it from our life. What we do is we learn to no longer be traumatized by it. We learn to no longer have it dictate our lives. So normally the way that trauma ends up handicapping us is it makes us freeze, it paralyzes us, it makes us incapable of trusting, believing, continuing to do what we do, continuing to move forward in our world. It may send us into depression, it may send us into anxiety, it may send us into addiction. But it does all of that because it attaches an event that happened, whatever it was that was traumatic, an event that happened with our current mental, emotional, nervous system state. So my state in this moment, on this day at this time, is still hooked into and stuck to the experience that I had months ago or years ago or decades ago, and the emotional and nervous system state of that moment. And so the way to work with trauma is to unhook this moment from that moment. And we begin with that moment, where we look at it, we see it, We acknowledge that it was traumatic, difficult, challenging, painful, awful, horrible, whatever it may have been. But we recognize that the I who is here right now is not actually the one who went through that trauma. Our bodies keep changing. Quite literally, the skin cells literally slough off and regenerate every couple of days. Every few days, you've got brand new skin. The blood cells, the bones, the muscles, the internal organs even. Over periods of days, weeks, months, or even a few years, every single cell of our being has been changed. And so working with trauma and overcoming trauma is really a deep experiential awareness of the fact that, yes, that which happened, horrible, awful, and I who am here in this present moment am not the being who had that experience. There isn't, if it's happened more than 7 or 8 years ago, there isn't a cell in my body today that was abused, abandoned, betrayed, hurt, traumatized in whatever way. What I need to do, though, is unhook my mental state from that moment. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is forgiveness. When we're able to forgive whoever it was, because trauma isn't always done by someone, but very frequently it is. Again, not always. Sometimes it's an earthquake. Sometimes it's a fire. But most of the trauma that most of us have experienced was at the hands of someone else. Knowingly, unknowingly, intentionally, unintentionally. That person has harmed us in a way that wasn't just painful, but that actually is trauma, that actually has left a ripple, an impression, an impact upon the very fiber of our being. So the first thing we do is we forgive them. And that doesn't mean that what they did was okay. Forgiving is not condoning. It's not saying, hey, that was great, do it again. It's not saying you should do it to someone else. It's not saying it wasn't such a big deal. It's saying one thing and one thing only, which is, I deserve to be free. Whatever happened, I still deserve to be free. Whatever happened did not change my core birthright for freedom. But in order to exercise that, I need to forgive. And so the first step in overcoming that is really forgiving, letting it go. And the second step is that deep personal awareness through a meditative practice, through a contemplative practice, to recognize that isn't me. That's not me. I know in my life when I first came here at the age of 25, I was identified by, paralyzed in many ways by, deeply, deeply, deeply impacted, affected by trauma that I had experienced approximately 20 years earlier. And when I finally realized, wow, the woman who is standing here today on the banks of Ganga doesn't share one cell with the girl to whom that happened. And so I can feel incredible compassion for her. incredible sadness for her, incredible love for her. And I don't need to be paralyzed because it isn't me. If someone said to me, show me the part of you that was abused, show me the part of you that was harmed, I couldn't. No longer exists. Every cell of it has been regenerated. All I could show is habitual mental patterns that I was carrying for 20 years. Carrying, creating, recreating. And that's what we do. And so that really important aspect of trauma is the awareness that this of today is not the one to whom that happened. And we work on the forgiveness. There's also some really powerful, depending on the way that the trauma has impacted you, there's some really powerful, quite simple, not simplistic, but quite simple, behavioral and cognitive behavioral techniques that can be used to really help unhook this moment from that moment. For example, let's say that when you were young, you shared a bedroom with your older brother. And every time that mom or dad turned off the bedroom lights, your brother would get out his baseball bat and beat you. Well, once, painful. Every night, traumatic. Now you're an adult, and you find that you need to sleep with the lights on. Because your entire nervous system reacts to darkness. You live in a different state, your brother lives in a different state, he has overcome his childhood violent tendencies, you now have a very good relationship, you happen to have a pit bull for a pet and a very, big macho spouse who would protect you should anything ever happen to you. So you're not in any danger at all. Lights go out, nothing is going to happen to you. But the nervous system of today, the mental framework of today, the mindset of today is so hooked into those days that lights out, panic. And in addition to the forgiveness of the brother, in addition to the recognition, the awareness that should not have happened to her, but she isn't me. Along with that, there's some really, really, as I said, simple but powerful techniques that you can use to overcome that. Working with the darkness, working with visualization, working with all of that. So never feel like trauma is somehow a life sentence. It's become a buzzword these days. It's kind of something that everyone is talking about, which is wonderful. I love when that happens because it's bringing things up or talking about them. The bad news when that happens is there starts to be a lot of money in it. And the more money there is in something, the more complex things seem to have become. Because if I'm going to get you to pay me huge sums of money to help you, well, it needs to be really a complex situation. And some situations are. Some absolutely are. But a lot of them actually can be healed, fully healed, through just those first 2 steps. And in some cases, the addition of some of the cognitive behavioral or just behavioral teachings and techniques that you can implement to help yourself get over that. Another really, really powerful way that I found is working with a mantra, because the way that trauma keeps impacting us is in our minds. We keep thinking about it, we keep moving through today based on then. And if every time that thought or that memory arises in your mind, instead you can work with a powerful mantra. It actually helps free the mindset, and it helps free the mental chains. And once that's free, that's the only place that you're holding on to it. The last piece that I would say is working with the body, things like yoga. Even though all of the cells of the body have regenerated and changed, there is a way that we tend to hold trauma in the body. And the more that I can mindfully work with my body through a practice like yoga, or a practice like Tai Chi, or Qigong, or these practices that really bring us into movement, stretch, flexibility, strength, but with a lot of mindfulness, you'll find that as you are able to free the body, the mind actually frees along with it. Sometimes it's easier to go in actually through the body than through the mind. So try all of these. And as I always remind people, there's nothing to be ashamed of to get professional help. I know in India there's a big taboo around therapists and psychologists and whatnot, but there really shouldn't be. Having someone with a skill to help you sort through the mind and emotions, it's, if you break out with a rash on your skin, you're going to go to a dermatologist. You understand this guy or this lady has gone to school. They understand what this rash might be. If you've got, pain in your kidneys, you're going to go to a nephrologist. You understand. They know about kidneys. And finding someone who knows something about the psyche, about trauma, about the ways that we get stuck, can be really, really helpful. So never feel like that's somehow something to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. Getting help is the way that we clear through whatever it is as quick as we can, whether it's a rash or whether it's something in our hearts and minds.
The future of internet radio is here. Om Times Radio, IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rain.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. the beautiful thing of the journey of the pilgrim is that the journey is the destination. The difference between a pilgrim on a journey versus a businessman going to work is, or even somebody flying off somewhere for some other reason, is for the other person it's all about the destination. For the pilgrim it's the journey. We just got back from a beautiful pilgrimage up in the mountains to Gangotri and Yamunotri, the source of Ganga and the source of Yamuna. And one of the things we were talking about along the way is that the journey of pilgrimage begins when you leave home. It was a message I was giving a lot, as you saw, a little too much trash that people were leaving along the way. And so we were sharing with others this fact and this beautiful truth and teaching that it's not that when you get to the temple then that's your pilgrimage, but when you leave from home is your pilgrimage. And so every step along the way is your pilgrimage. And so you recognize that the ground you are walking upon is the holy ground. And so you take care of it on a logistic level. But you also recognize on an internal level that your journey is every step of the way. And so it means that there should be that spirit within. That ultimately where you're going is an inner destination. ये माइक बंद कर दो है ना, कुछ आवाज़, yeah, thank you. Ultimately where you're going is an inner destination. You can see all of the temples in the world, you can see all of the holy sites in the world. But if your heart's not open, they're just buildings. You might as well stay home and look at postcards and eat pizza. And simultaneously, you could sit in place and open your heart and go on that beautiful pilgrimage even without necessarily moving your feet. The moving of our feet on pilgrimage is not so much about the destinations that we reach because we are moving, but because the moving becomes a meditation itself. Anybody who's tried to embark on a deep meditative practice knows that there's only a certain number of hours, even if you are an intense meditator, that you can actually sit like this every day. And when you go on intense meditation retreats, in addition to this time, you'll do walking meditation. They'll get you walking as part of the meditation. Eating will be a meditation. So that it's a meditation retreat. Everything you do is meditation, but it's not all seated like this. The pilgrimage gives us the opportunity to essentially be in meditation all day long. Sometimes we sit like this, and sometimes we walk, we move. But every step is meant to be meditation. It's very easy to go into a sacred temple, have beautiful darshan, or come to a beautiful ceremony like this, have a beautiful experience, and then get back into our cars or buses, immediately pick up our phone, chat with each other, just immediately get out of the moment into normal life. On a pilgrimage, it's actually about how the journey changes you. So try to keep that spirit, that feeling, whether you're in a bus, whether you're in cars, whether you're walking, whether you're sleeping, whether you're praying. Allow every minute to be that. I remember when we went on pilgrimage to Kailash Mansarovar many years ago, and Puja Swamiji in the first day when we were in Kathmandu, he told everybody, he said, the rule for this yatra is the Sanskrit word for pilgrimage, for spiritual pilgrimage. So the rule for this yatra is less chatting, more chanting. Normally people like to chat. We're walking, we're hiking, we're chatting, we're sitting in the cars, we're chatting, we're sitting over meals, we're chatting. He said, less chatting, more chanting. Do your mantra. If you don't have a mantra, pick a mantra. It doesn't matter. Chant whatever it is that connects you to the divine. But chant instead of chat. And recognize that ultimately, where you're going is within yourself. And so recognize that every step along the way is going to give you a way to go deeper within. There will be hang-ups. Things that are supposed to happen don't happen. Things that are supposed to happen at 10 in the morning happen at 4 in the afternoon. And you've waited since 10 in the morning for it to happen. And it's the nature of life. It's especially the nature of India. And you've chosen a pilgrimage in India. So recognize that this is all part of your pilgrimage. It's not, oh my God, our pilgrimage is ruined because the car broke down. Or oh my God, because the car didn't show up, or the driver this, or the hotel that. Recognize that that is your pilgrimage. Okay, so today the pilgrimage is to sit and meditate along the side of the road while these guys try to figure out how to fix the cars. Today the pilgrimage is to get adopted by some local villagers who were kind enough along the side of the road to take us in and give us some tea while we wait for these guys to fix the cars. That is the pilgrimage. It's not, oh, the pilgrimage was great, except, oh my God, that day when the cars all broke down. That is the pilgrimage. Oh, you end up with a stomach bug? All right. Try not to have it happen, obviously, be careful, but, okay. There's some internal purification that needs to happen. This is my pilgrimage. And just allow every minute that you're going deeper and deeper within. The external journey is just to help you go within. Ultimately, you're going to the sacred site within. Because what makes all of these places you're going sacred is because the divine is there. In different forms, different ways, experienced by different people, or because it's where sages and saints meditated, wherever it is. It's the place of divine experience. But that experience doesn't happen in a piece of granite or marble. The experience happens in your heart. So, keep that heart open. More chanting, less chatting. And it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful journey that you're all on. I'll leave you with one more spiritual lesson that goes with another Hindi lesson. So you've learned yatra, which means pilgrimage. A lot of times people are very worried about something we call vyavastha. Vyavastha means arrangements, logistics, the accommodations, the food, all of the things that are taken care of for you. The arrangements is probably the best definition. And vyavastha's fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's good to have a toilet that flushes. It's nice to have some hot water if it's someplace where it's really cold. Nice to have a bed to sleep in. Nothing wrong with vyavastha. But you didn't come here from your cities and your countries for vyavastha. You came for something we call asta. And asta is faith. And so, too tragically, people lose the asta in the vyavastha. Their minds are so wrapped up in, oh my God, my toilet doesn't flush, that they miss, oh my God, like where I am and the experience I could be having, because I'm wrapped up in waiting for a plumber to show up. So you want to just make sure that you're anchored in Asta. Enjoy the Vivesta when it's there. Accept when it's not. And recognize that if what you were looking for ultimately was Vivesta, you would have gone to Paris instead. But you didn't, you came here. And so you've clearly come for something else, and allow that else to blossom.
This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week, and I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on Om Times Radio.